Hello, folks. Welcome to the show. You are watching a clip from a live stream, and in this clip today, we're going to be talking about my top 5 affordable dad smells. Always a popular topic on the channel. Okay, before we do that, please don't forget that if you're looking for fragrance samples, my recommended USA-based fragrance sampling site is decantboutique.com. Go there and use my code MrSmelly10 for 10% off their huge range of designer and niche fragrances. My recommended UK-based fragrance sampling site is fragrancesamplesuk.com. My code there is slightly different. MrSmelly1977 gets you 10% off. One other thing, last chance over the next day or two, we want you to follow them there at Fragrance Samples UK Ltd. That's their Instagram name. So Fragrance Samples UK Ltd. Please go there. Please follow them. And if you comment on the post that's pinned at the top of the page about a giveaway with Norton and Wilson, anyone who follows them, as long as you're in the USA, UK, or Canada, will be in with the chance to win 100ml bottle of any Norton and Wilson fragrance that you care to pick, as long as you follow them and comment on that post. They only ship fragrance samples in the UK, but we can still ship our fragrances to you guys in the USA and Canada too, and you can still follow them anywhere in the world. Nowadays, all our fragrances in the USA are coming, apart from if you do some of the little bundle deals, but we have most of the old stock are now sold, and we have this fantastic new packaging for all the fragrances. Let's get into the video then, guys. So, fragrances that have a quote unquote dad smell, but are rather affordable beauties. And I've really gone for some real dad smells. So let's get stuck into it. First of all, I'm a huge fan of Penard Clubman, the original version, and that I've actually used a whole bottle or 3 in my lifetime, and I must buy a new one. But today I'll highlight one of the great flankers to that one. This is Penard Clubman Vanilla. It comes in this beautiful design bottle, very cheap plasticky bottle, but when I say beautiful, I'm not entirely being sarcastic, because I rather like what they've done with the label, with the lovely dapper gentleman. It conjures up a different world that perhaps some of us remember. In fact, I don't think many people actually remember a world where people dress like that. You have to go back a long way. Okay, however, you can pick this up. This one is a big bottle. It's like a 6 fluid ounces, as you guys say in America, which is 177 mils for us. So it's 6 fluid ounces. I love your antiquated imperial measurements in America. Don't ever give them up. Quartz and things. It's absolutely wonderful. Okay, sage, lavender, spicy notes, vanilla, and jasmine is 10 to 13 pounds for this wonderfully large bottle that you can splash with reckless abandon. And it definitely has similarities to the original Clubman. If anything, I really don't pick up on a notable vanilla fragrance. Vanilla makes you think, oh, well, you know, it's a very recognizable smell. Oh, well, it's a gourmand twist. No, not at all. But there may be a little bit of vanilla in there that wasn't in the other one. I really can't say. What I pick up on is a kind of a patchouli note and a slightly richer, more spicy cousin to the original, very soapy and fresh Penard Clubman. Maybe, you know, that could be your spring summer one, and you might wear this one in the fall or in the winter time, or whenever you like, but it's fresh enough still to be worn most times a year. And it definitely has a very old school fragrance smell. It doesn't smell massively somehow expensive or regal, but it has this kind of reassuring, I don't need to mess around, I don't need to ponce around with really expensive designer or niche fragrances. I'm just a simple man, and I like how this stuff smells, and it gets the job done. So I would say Penard Clubman Vanilla aftershave lotion, great option. And you know, it is fun, isn't it, to have a video maybe where you think, okay, I'll blind buy that for a tenner. What's the worst that could happen? Moving on then, Alt Innsbrook is my next pick, and this was apparently a 1953 release, and it's an Austrian fragrance. 1953. I found a bottle. This one is 100ml splash again. Not quite as cheap, but I found one online for £23 in the UK. Note listings vary online, but I'll give you some of the notes I picked out on different websites. Tobacco, mint, tobacco flower, menthol, and musk. So this one, very I find it has that eucalyptus kind of menthol musky combo that makes it very old school, similar in aura to Brut by Fabergé, about which more in a minute. But yeah, £23, good value, and it has a very kind of rich, musky, powdery. I don't pick up on a tobacco smell, to be honest, but that minty menthol thing, that doesn't always sound particularly appealing, but it really does have, when we say, oh, it's a barbershop smell, sometimes we're sort of stretching the use of that term a little bit. But in this case, it really does smell like you just stepped out of a barber's shop. So Alt Innsbruck, if you're a real big fan of this type of fragrance, one to look up, or one that doesn't get a lot of talk in our community. And as you can see, I have actually used a fair bit of it. So yeah, sometimes I like to smell like that. Next up, we'll go for a designer fragrance. And this one is a one that I, for many years, wasn't quite sure if I really loved it as much as I probably think that I do now. Zeno Davidov, the original, one of the original fragrances, I think the original release for men from the House of Davidoff, 1986 release. You can pick up a 100ml bottle online for about £19 plus postage in the UK, which is great. Michel Almarac, a great perfumer. He was the man behind this one. Brazilian rosewood, my favorite kind of rosewood. Lavender, clary sage, bergamot, rose, geranium, jasmine, lily of the valley, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla, and cedar. And it's a really great masculine classic. It's woody, it's herbal. You get a fair dose of that kind of mixture of patchouli with woods and a little bit of subtle sweetness down there. So really, really nice fragrance. Smells like a really nice kind of talcum powder with a hint of spicy and vanilla accords in there. Some people actually did compare Norton and Wilson's gravitas to that in passing. They're by no means massively similar, but I can kind of see where they might pick up some similarities and say that ours is a sort of a modernized or niche cousin to this one. And I don't mind that at all. This is a real beauty, really affordable prices, quite like the classic simplicity of the bottle, and they're definitely very much in that dad smell kind of thing. Literally, that some of our dads may have worn it if we're of a similar vintage to myself. Speaking of Norton and Wilson, please don't forget, if you go there, we still have the last of our special offer for USA customers, where you can buy Gravitas Pour Homme alongside, where is Gravitas Pour Homme? Alongside Gravitas Essentia for a stunning price of just $150 for both. We're down to the last stock of that. It's the old packaging, and the fragrance smells absolutely as wonderful as it ever did. And there's an even better bottle if you if you add Chypre Fulminare to that mix. Again, the last of our original packaging version for the stunning Chypre scent. That'll be $200 for all three. Furthermore, now that we're moving on to having everything in stock in the new packaging, if you buy any two or more of our luxuriously new repackaged bottles, you will get 20% off as soon as you add those to the cart. So multi-buys are the way to go on Norton & Wilson for the best value. My fragrance of the night happens to be Bon Viveur. And when we're talking about dad smells, it's quite appropriate to wear Norton & Wilson stuff, because we do like the vintage-inspired, classic, gentlemanly type fragrances. Absolutely love Bon Viveur. Something of a personal signature scent for me, with the citruses, the vetiver, the lemon verbena. I just love this one. It's really, really beautiful. Okay, let's move on. Next one in the dad smell list. We've got only two left. Giorgio for Men is the brand. And no, it's not. Giorgio for Men is the name of the fragrance, and the brand is called Giorgio Beverly Hills. I like the bottle design, and it comes in this funky, preppy, white and yellow, cheap looking, but kind of good looking box, which I really like. Notes for this one: 1984 release, aldehydes, bergamot, fruity notes, orange, violet, carnation, patchouli, sandalwood, cinnamon, benzoin, amber, honey, moss, musk, and vanilla. It's an oriental woody fragrance, okay? So this one has been compared by people. I think it's a legitimate comparison. Some people have given this one a little bit of a reference to. That's not really good English. But some people have, me and Lorraine were watching this program the other day, and it was a documentary about, I think it was about Harold Shipman. And nowadays they don't always get these sort of very high up professor people to do all the sort of things where they have clips of experts sort of psychoanalyzing him talk. They try and throw in some sort of, younger, more hip people from all kinds of different walks of life. Anyway, there was just a couple of them that they couldn't string sentences together. They were saying things that were just like, you would, even if it was a primary school bit of writing, or a 13-year-old in a secondary school, the teacher would say, that's incorrect grammar and stuff. It's just shocking. So I'm trying to avoid that. Okay, anyhow, now I will be really having to be very careful about my grammar and diction. Giorgio for Men has been compared to Givenchy Gentleman, the original 1974 classic. It's musky, it's very spicy and woody, and it has this lovely patchouli accord in there, which is also quite prominent in Givenchy Gentleman, and real reassuring, old-fashioned, I'm a man, I don't need to show off too much. I don't need to mess around buying loads of stuff that costs loads of money. I don't need to have 87 different fragrances by all these silly new brands. I just wear that. It's the kind of bloke who would be like that. And he's always worn that. And he just has one watch, and it's a really good watch, but he doesn't mess around. He just has one car, and it's quite a good car, but he's not showing off. He doesn't need to. Giorgio, for men, Beverly Hills. Okay, last one. They haven't talked about this for a while. Hston Z14, bit of a legend. Another American brand, I do believe, guys. I will catch up with your comments in a minute. This is Z14 from the Hston brand, £18.45, released in 1974, when even I was young. It was Vincent Marcello what composed it, with Max Gavary. The notes are cypress, lemon, bergamot, green notes, basil, gardenia, cinnamon, vetiver, cedar, patchouli, coriander, geranium, jasmine, leather, oak moss, benzoin, amber musk, and tonka. Some people, I believe, and I hope I'm getting this right, I think some people have compared this to Tom Ford's Italian Cypress. And indeed, I think the comparison is valid. And that's a classic Tom Ford private blend fragrance. The private blends did have this habit sometimes, allegedly, where they would take an older fragrance and do their fancy pants version. Classic, best example would be Neroli Portofino, is widely regarded as having been influenced by Mora and Wert's famous 4711. Beautiful smelling, but very, very transient in its longevity, citrus eau de cologne, and the color scheme kind of ties in between the two a little bit too. And here we could say perhaps was Tom Ford influenced by this one. It definitely has this kind of combination of herbal tones, this cypress thing, and the leather. Old school, masculine, a little bit different to the others then with the leather and the cypress. And it really does smell of anything, if anything, of these five. Perhaps the most expensive smelling is that if you were trying to tell me which one of these could be a niche fragrance, the others I'd say, well, no, that you can tell that's I like them, they're really good, but they have that barbershop aftershave or affordable designer but good but dated kind of smell. This one, I could just say, yeah, I think that could be a small niche artisanal brand, or maybe it's maybe it's Italian Cypress. And for a fraction of the price, £18.45, probably equivalent prices around the world. If you fancy a little blind buy of something affordable, something fun for the weekend, sir, I reckon that could be a really good bet. So let me know what you guys thought about that. The live stream continues, but for the rest of you, this is the end of the video. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. And although sometimes life may stink, at least we can always smell good, right? Bye-bye.